Have you ever been overwhelmed by conflicting health advice? One day you're told salt is poison, the next day it's sugar. Red meat, enemy or essential? It's hard to know what's real anymore. But here's the truth. When it comes to fatty liver, most of what you've heard is either incomplete or completely wrong. And worse, those myths might be keeping you sick. So if you've ever asked yourself, am I unknowingly harming my liver with my everyday food choices? You're not alone. Today, we're going to break through the noise and give you clarity that could change your life. Before we talk about what to eat to heal your liver, let's clear up the confusion about what not to eat. Because sometimes, avoiding the wrong things is even more powerful than loading up on the right ones. Let's start with salt. You've probably heard the warning, cut out sodium, it causes water retention. And technically, that's not entirely false. Water does follow sodium. But here's the catch. That only becomes a problem if your body can't regulate sodium properly, such as in the case of kidney failure, hormone imbalances, or rare endocrine disorders. For the average healthy person, sodium isn't the villain. It's made out to be. And when it comes to fatty liver, salt has almost nothing to do with it. So this often repeated advice, it's misleading at best. Next up, added sugar. Now this one is a whole different story. Unlike the salt debate, there's no gray area here. Added sugar directly fuels fat accumulation in the liver. It's not just unhealthy, it's one of the root causes of fatty liver disease. You'll want to remember this point because we'll be revisiting it in much greater detail soon. What about red meat? You've likely seen the headlines blaming red meat because it contains saturated fat. And yes, it does. But here's the twist. That's not the real issue. We'll explain why saturated fat isn't the enemy people think it is. Spoiler alert, blaming red meat oversimplifies a far more complex issue. And then we get to fried foods, often demonized for being high in fat and calories. But the real problem isn't the fat or the calories, it's the kind of fat. Most commercial fried foods are cooked in highly processed, industrial seed oils. Think soybean, corn, or canola oil. These oils are not only unstable when heated, but they're also chemically altered through bleaching, deodorizing, and refining processes that make them toxic and inflammatory. That's why fried foods are harmful to your liver, not because of the frying itself, but because of the oils used. If you were to fry food occasionally in something like coconut oil or animal fat, the risk would be significantly lower. So here's the bottom line. When it comes to your liver, what truly matters isn't what mainstream advice shouts the loudest. It's understanding what burdens the liver and what doesn't. Salt? Not the problem for most people. Saturated fat? Misunderstood. Sugar and bad oils? Those are the real culprits. If fatty liver isn't caused by salt, and saturated fat isn't the villain, then what is the real enemy? What if the true culprit isn't a single ingredient, but something far more invisible? Something happening inside your body every day without you even realizing it? To understand how to heal your liver, you need to first understand how it gets overwhelmed in the first place. And here's the key insight. A fatty liver isn't just a buildup of fat. It's a symptom of overload. When your liver is forced to do more than it can handle. Let's break that down. Your liver is your body's biochemical powerhouse. It handles over 500 essential functions, from detoxification to hormone regulation to converting food into usable energy. But what happens when too much is thrown at it, too often? Just like an overworked employee, your liver can become backed up, congested, and inefficient. And here's the kicker. Not all substances affect the liver equally. Some things can be processed by almost every cell in your body, like glucose. Others? Only the liver can deal with them. And those are the ones that cause trouble. Because when you overload the liver with substances only it can process, you clog the system. Fast. So what are these heavy hitters in sky? Alcohol. Everyone knows alcohol can damage the liver. That's why it's regulated, restricted, and never given to children. It's widely accepted as toxic when consumed in excess. But alcohol is just the obvious one. Fructose. Here's where things get sneaky. Most people know that sugar isn't great for them, but few realize just how dangerous fructose is for the liver. Table sugar, sucrose, is made of 50% glucose and 50% fructose. And fructose? It's metabolized only by the liver. That means every gram of it goes straight to the same overworked organ, pushing it closer and closer to dysfunction. Eat 100 grams of sugar a day, which is shockingly common, and you're hitting your liver with 50 grams of fructose every single day. That's like forcing it to process the equivalent of a shot of alcohol, but in sugar form. Ours. Toxins. Your liver is also your body's waste treatment plant. It filters out chemicals, pollutants, and medications. But if it's already busy dealing with alcohol and fructose, those toxins pile up. And instead of being flushed out, they start lingering in your system, building up quietly, dangerously. Insulin. Now let's talk hormones. Insulin is a storage hormone. It tells your body to hold on to energy and store it as fat. When your liver is already fatty and inflamed, high insulin levels make things worse. Why? Because insulin blocks fat burning. It keeps the liver stuck in storage mode, creating a vicious cycle of more fat, more resistance, and more inflammation. While insulin doesn't directly cause fatty liver, it plays a major role in maintaining it once it's begun. And unless you lower insulin, your liver can't clean itself up. So here's the truth bomb. Your liver gets fatty not just because of what you eat, but because of how much you ask it to do. We're living in a world of constant food access. Hidden sugars, toxic oils, and stress, all of it adds pressure to the liver. And when it gets overwhelmed, when it can't keep up, it starts storing fat, slowing down, and eventually failing. Now that we've uncovered the hidden forces overwhelming your liver, the next question is, what should you actually avoid? What are the foods and ingredients that quietly damage your liver, even the ones labeled as healthy? Let's dive into the most common misconceptions and the foods that quietly contribute to liver damage. 1. Fruit sugar. Yes, even the natural kind. Let's start with fruit. We've been told for years that fruit is nature's candy, loaded with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, and that's true to a point. But here's what no one tells. Your liver can't tell the difference between added sugar and fruit sugar. Fructose from a soda or from a mango? Same impact. It still ends up in the liver. The difference? Quantity. When you sip fruit juice, eat multiple bananas, or snack on dried fruit throughout the day, you're flooding your liver with far more fructose than it can handle. A few berries? No problem. A giant fruit smoothie? That's another story. So, yes, fruit can be healthy, but only when eaten in moderation and in whole form. Starches, the glucose bomb. You didn't see coming. Many people avoid sugar but load up on starches, white rice, whole wheat bread, oatmeal, even sweet potatoes. And while these may seem innocent, here's what's really happening. Starches break down into pure glucose, which spikes insulin. And as we've already learned, high insulin makes it nearly impossible for the liver to burn fat. Even worse, processed starches like white bread or pasta hit your bloodstream fast, creating a blood sugar roller coaster that keeps insulin elevated. What about whole grains like brown rice or whole wheat? The truth is, the difference is minimal. The fiber content might slow the spike slightly, but they still break down into mostly glucose. If your liver is already struggling, even these so-called better options can continue to push it in the wrong direction. Fried foods. It's not the fat, it's the oil. You've heard fried foods are bad. But the reason is often misunderstood. It's not the fat content or the calories, it's the oil quality that matters. Most fried foods use industrial seed oils, like soybean, canola, or corn oil, which are highly processed, unstable, and easily oxidized when heated. These oils become toxic in the body, creating inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which tax the liver heavily. Even foods labeled as healthy snacks or restaurant meals may be cooked in these harmful oils. If you want something crispy once in a while, fry it yourself at home using stable fats like coconut oil or grass-fed animal fat. Your liver will thank you. Healthy, whole grains, not so healthy. After all, whole grains often top every heart-healthy food list. But are they really helping your liver? Here's the deal. Whole grains still break down into glucose, which still spikes insulin. And if your goal is to reverse fatty liver, not just maintain health, you need to be more strict. Plus, grains are one of the most common allergens. Gluten in particular can cause inflammation in people who are sensitive to it, even if they don't feel it immediately. So while oats or brown rice might be better than white bread, that doesn't make them healing foods. And no, eating more whole grains will not reverse liver disease. Now that we've exposed the foods that quietly work against your liver, it's time to shift focus. You might be wondering, okay, so what can I actually eat? That's exactly what we'll cover next, starting with the real foods that help lower inflammation, support detoxification, and gently guide your liver back to health. Stay tuned, because the next part might surprise you. Eggs. Small but mighty eggs are one of the most complete and nutrient-dense foods you can eat, and they're a liver's best friend. Why? Because they contain choline, a vitamin-like nutrient that plays a key role in fat metabolism. Without enough choline, your liver can't efficiently burn fat, so it stores it instead. Most people with fatty liver are deficient in choline. And eggs? They're loaded with it. Eggs also provide methionine, a sulfur-containing amino acid the body uses to make glutathione, your body's master antioxidant. Plus, they're packed with B vitamins, B6, B9, B12, which help convert homocysteine, a harmful compound, into methionine and then into glutathione. That's a powerful internal detox pathway, all from a humble egg. Choose pasture-raised eggs, when possible. They contain higher levels of DHA and EPA, the essential omega-3s your body needs for anti-inflammatory support. Red meat, not the enemy. Yes, you read that right. Red meat belongs on this list, not because of trendy headlines, but because of real nutrient density. It's rich in protein, iron, zinc, and healthy fats, including saturated and monounsaturated fat, which are stable and non-inflammatory when consumed as part of a low-insulin lifestyle. Meat also provides high levels of methionine, supporting the same glutathione production pathway as eggs. Contrary to popular belief, red meat is one of the least allergenic foods available. That's one reason many people with food sensitivities do better on diets rich in clean, grass-fed meats. So no, red meat isn't bad for your liver. The problem lies in how it's consumed, alongside sugar, fried oils, and processed carbs. Strip those away, and meat becomes a powerful tool for healing. Cruciferous vegetables, detox support in every bite. Now let's talk plants, specifically cruciferous vegetables. These include broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, and bok choy. What makes them special? They're rich in glucosinolates and other phytonutrients that support Phase 1 and Phase 2 liver detoxification, your liver's way of breaking down toxins and safely eliminating them. These veggies also provide fiber, which helps reduce overall inflammation and promotes a healthy gut, critical for liver health. If you tolerate them well, load up on cruciferous vegetables daily. Just go easy on the starchy ones like rutabaga if you're trying to reverse fatty liver. Omega-3 fats, nature's anti-inflammatory. Your body needs omega-3s, but only the right kind. Fish oil, or oily fish like salmon and sardines, provides EPA and DHA, the active forms of omega-3 that fight inflammation at the cellular level. They help regulate triglyceride levels, reduce insulin resistance, and directly support the liver's metabolic processes. Flaxseed, chia, and walnuts contain ALA, a precursor to EPA-DHA. But conversion is low, especially in people with poor metabolic health. So while flaxseed is still a nice addition to your yogurt, don't rely on it for liver support. If you're not eating quality fish regularly, a purified omega-3 supplement may be worth considering. 5. Nuts, smart fats that satisfy. Nuts like walnuts, macadamia nuts, and pecans are high in healthy fats, moderate in protein, and low in carbs. This combination helps reduce insulin spikes and promote satiety. They also contain antioxidants, fiber, and trace minerals that support metabolic health. Walnuts in particular have been studied for their liver protective properties, but again, don't get caught up in the superfood label. The value is in the overall pattern of nutrient-dense eating, not in a single snack. Coffee, helpful but not a miracle. Let's talk about coffee. Some studies suggest it may offer protective benefits against non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And while that's promising, it's important to keep things in perspective. Yes, coffee contains antioxidants and compounds that might support liver health, but that doesn't make it a cure. If you're drinking a cup or two of black coffee daily, it's likely fine. Just don't overdo it or rely on coffee as a magic bullet. And if you're sensitive to caffeine or have adrenal issues, keep your intake in check. Oats, not ideal. For a fatty liver, oatmeal gets a lot of praise for its fiber content, and for some people, it can be part of a healthy diet. But if you're dealing with fatty liver, there's something you need to understand. Oats are still high in starch, which breaks down into glucose and spikes insulin. Even steel-cut oats, which are less processed, can contribute to elevated blood sugar if your metabolism is compromised. So while oats are better than white bread, that doesn't mean they're a good choice when your liver is already struggling. Soy and other legumes. Proceed with caution. Soybeans and legumes often show up on healthy food lists, and yes, they can be helpful in some cases, especially for those who are insulin sensitive and tolerate them well. But here's the problem. The vast majority of soy today is genetically modified, and soy is one of the top food allergens. If your immune system reacts to soy or even lentils or chickpeas, you're adding inflammation to an already overworked liver. So while a little miso or organic tofu might be okay, most people with fatty liver should limit legumes, especially if they notice bloating or discomfort after eating them. Unsaturated fats. Depends on the source. Not all unsaturated fats are created equal. Monounsaturated fats, like those found in extra virgin olive oil and avocados, can be a healthy part of your diet, as long as they're minimally processed. But polyunsaturated vegetable oils, like corn, soybean, and canola oil, are a different story. These oils are unstable, prone to oxidation, and often highly processed, making them pro-inflammatory and harmful to the liver. So stick with high-quality fats and avoid industrial seed oils at all costs. 10. Whole grains. Overrated for liver. Health whole grains often make the heart-healthy list, but when it comes to reversing fatty liver, they fall short. Why? Because they're still high in starch, which converts to glucose and spikes insulin levels, something your liver doesn't need more of. Even so-called healthy options like whole wheat bread or brown rice can be problematic if you're insulin resistant. Add to that the fact that grains are one of the most common food allergens, and it's easy to see why many people feel better once they reduce or eliminate them. If you're metabolically healthy, a small amount may be okay, but don't expect whole grains to heal your liver. Now that we've separated hype from reality and cleared up the confusion around these so-called healthy foods, it's time to zoom out. If you've been waiting for one magical food to heal your liver, it's time for a mindset shift. The truth is, there's no single superfood that can reverse fatty liver. Not one. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. Far from it. Too often, we're sold the idea that we can undo years of damage with a trendy health product or some miracle berry from halfway across the world. It sounds good. It feels comforting. But it's not how the body works. Because a fatty liver isn't a symptom to be silenced. It's a warning sign. It's your body asking for less burden, not more Band-Aids. Let's put it this way. You can't pour toxins into a polluted lake and expect the fish to thrive just because you sprinkled in some vitamins. The lake doesn't need supplements. It needs the pollution to stop. Your liver works the same way. Real healing starts when you remove what's harming the liver: processed sugars, refined oils, alcohol, excessive starches, and chronic insulin spikes. Only then can good food do its job, not by saving your liver, but by supporting it as it rebuilds. It's not about searching for superfoods, it's about removing super stressors on your plate and in your lifestyle. That's why the idea of a superfood is misleading. Food can be nourishing, it can be powerful, but it's not medicine. If something is missing in your body, real healing comes from giving the body what it truly needs. If something is interfering, healing comes from removing that interference. Support, simplify, rebuild. That's how your liver heals. So now you know the truth. There's no magic fix. But with the right understanding and a consistent strategy, you can turn fatty liver around. In our next video, we'll take a closer look at simple lifestyle habits that quietly support liver recovery every day. Don't miss it. And if you'd like more clear, science-based tips that actually make a difference, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Your health begins with knowledge. Let's keep learning, making better choices and living more fully, one mindful bite at a time.